Hello and welcome to the latest edition of India Ideas, the weekly show which is all about science and tech, innovation and entrepreneurship. I'm Gautam Roy. Phishing, ransomware, malware, etc. are all different types of cyber attacks. They also have spiked during the pandemic due to the increased usage of the digital domain, and this has made cybersecurity a major concern, even for India's defense establishment. That's what we're talking about today. Let's talk about this effort today. We have with us on our panel, let's introduce our guests. We've also got Lakshmi Das, co-founder and product evangelist at Prophaze, which is a made-in-India cybersecurity product company and a cloud-native security provider that helps secure enterprise applications and ensures data security. Now, Lakshmi, what do you make of the challenges as someone from the industry solving different cybersecurity challenges of firms in the private sector? Are most of the threats covered among these 28 challenges?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Gautam, for inviting me for this panel discussion. So to address your question, so basically, what being somebody from this industry working on solving security issues, basically, what we do at Prophaze is we secure web applications, APIs, and mobile data backends, all from all kinds of cyber attacks using our web application firewall. So I feel that the security use cases, they do not differ, be it in the private sector or in the government sector, because threats are always threats and they keep evolving day by day.
True.
Because the cyber criminals are becoming smarter and they start deploying AI and ML methodologies to fabricate new and modern day attacks. So this is something because it's a cat and mouse game. The R&D has to go on. It's a never-ending game. So what I feel is that since we live in the same and connected world, which is very vulnerable, and we have to keep writing our ML and AI to protect against these kind of threats, changing threats, and we should come up with more defensive methodologies or proactive methodologies, because we have the cyber criminals who are always on the offensive front. So what I feel is that these kind of the 28 use cases that came up, these are just brilliant. And they have addressed most of the use cases in the industry. Not just it's actually interrelated to other industries as well, because it cannot be confined. Cybersecurity can never be confined for just the defense. But in the defense, it is a major concern, because we cannot depend on the foreign countries with the data of the country, right? I mean, because it should not be processed outside the country. But unfortunately now, to a large extent, we do depend, and we import a lot of defense products from outside the country, which is something that has to change, because especially with the Atmanirbharta coming in place, we're sure that there'll be a huge phase shift that will happen, and especially with these kind of challenges coming into picture.
Oh,
and
yes,
I feel that most of the threats are actually covered, and there are even more threats will be coming in as the days go by. And the R&D has to keep on happening, and the products that will be deployed as a part of execution of these challenges, they should always be in a constant R&D mode, so that they can address the constantly evolving cyber threat landscape.
Okay, so you're saying that it needs to be some sort of an ongoing work instead of like a one-time sort of an assignment, but we'll talk further about that. Okay, Lakshmi, now how solvable do you think are these 28 challenges? Would Prophaze be interested in throwing its hat in the ring to give them a go?
Yes, so regarding how solvable these challenges are, definitely these are kind of challenges that have to be looked upon with a lot of seriousness, and a lot of hard work and innovation has to go into solving these kind of issues. But it is 100% solvable. But the only thing is that it requires a lot of hand-holding for the startups or the individual contributors at each and every stage, because because they're doing it from scratch, and the private sector and the government sector, they should work hand in hand. And the government should also have, kind of like a startup point of view, so that, they understand the challenges that a startup is going through, and be very supportive in that kind of areas. And so, because the startup, they put their whole, blood and sweat into trying to solve something, and they might get stuck in different stages, and they would not know how to proceed, and because it's not just making a product and trying to put it in the market and selling it somewhere, but it's for the defense sector. So they should be given a lot of opportunities where they can test their product and be given constant feedback, and then it's an iterative process. So it'll keep it's like a never-ending game continues. So but definitely these challenges are something that I'm sure we have a lot of potential in our country, and there'll be a lot of startups, individual contributors, academia, MSMEs who can actually put their heart and soul into it and solve these kind of issues. And as far as Prophaze is concerned, so we are because we are into a more like a real-time monitoring and protection kind of thing, because we offer web application firewall, and which is based on Kubernetes, and it is more like the futuristic technology, and it's also backward compatible with, and also we can secure all kinds of cloud and on-prem deployments as well, because for the defense it will be mostly they'll follow an on-prem deployment situation. So, and when we went through these kind of all these 28 use cases, we found that many of them are like on a reactive use cases where it has to offer protection after something an attack has happened, or but Prophaze is more like a proactive product. Prophaze BAS is more like a proactive product, but we found a good interesting use case, which is the connecting of the intranet with the internet and creating an air gap. Okay. So where the GEM portal has to be connected with the ERP portal. So there, I'm sure Prophaze can be, because Prophaze acts like an air gap, and the secure transactions and everything can happen actually through Prophaze, because that is what WAF generally does. So it will read out the traffic through a WAF so that the endpoint remains secure. Okay, so this sounds is something good. That we found it as an interesting use case, and I'm sure there will be a lot more use cases coming into picture where we can actually have an active role in.
Oh, excellent. Now, Lakshmi, where do you see DevTech in cybersecurity going in India with these kind of efforts being made to not only encourage DevTech startups to do more R&D in solving such cyber challenges, but also to ensure that they get a viable pipeline of business to help the industry grow?
Yeah, so I see that there's a long road of growth for the DevTech, but the major concern is that the mindset should change, because as a startup, while we were actually interacting with the governments of India, different use cases. So initially they have a tendency to actually look whether your product is listed in the international quadrants. So that is something that has to definitely change, because because the government talks about being Make in India and all of that, and finally when a startup is actually doing a lot of efforts in that line, and when you're confronted with these kind of comments, it's kind of disheartening. So this has to definitely change. There should be a mindset change, and also the governance laws actually has to be put in place, because there's no point in having all these in the mindset and having these kind of challenges until and unless there are laws in place, so that these are kind of ensure that these will be executed. Okay. And another thing is that because the startup will come with their MVP and go to a pilot stage, and the stakeholder might do a pilot for 3 months, and they'll study the product, and finally there's no point if they go with the foreign deployment phase.
Got it. We're running out of time, Lakshmi.
And because you cannot have a doctor just born surgeon, because only if the doctor is actually made to do some surgery, real surgery, he can be a professional in that. So all right. A startup.
We're running out of time, Lakshmi, for joining us to talk about this critical challenge that the DIO has come up in IDEX with, and let's hope that we have cracking solutions coming out of it too. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about today, all three of you.
Thank you.
So that was India Ideas for this evening. Do let us know what you think about it, and all the time keep watching DD India for all the latest as well.